My son burst into the garage and froze. I was lying on the concrete floor, hungry, bruised, curled up like a dog nobody wanted. "Dad, what happened to you? Why are you in the garage? You have a pension of $7,000 a month." My son-in-law stepped out behind him, chest puffed, and said the words that changed everything. "That pension is mine. I'm taking all of it." My son didn't argue. He didn't yell. He took off his watch, and what he did next, none of us saw coming. The cold concrete pressed through the thin mattress into my spine. I opened my eyes to dust, floating in a single shaft of August sun. 68 years old, 40 years of Philadelphia. Firefighter. And I was waking up on a garage floor like something that had been thrown away. My shoulder throbbed where Wesley had shoved me the day before. Careful, like always, never hard. Enough to leave a mark someone might ask about. Through the small window facing the kitchen, I could see them. Wesley, broad and comfortable, eating scrambled eggs off my plates. My daughter Gertrude beside him, staring into her coffee like it held answers she didn't want to find. She hadn't met my eyes in days. My stomach growled, 3 crackers yesterday. I stood, joints cracking, and knocked on the kitchen door. Wesley filled the frame before I could even ask. Garage residents don't get kitchen privileges. That's the rule. I looked past him to Gertrude. "Sweetheart, Wesley's right. You should go back, Dad. Not Daddy. Not Papa. Just Dad." Flat and cold. The way she'd said it for 2 weeks straight. "Oh," Wesley added, almost bored. "Your pension came through yesterday. Don't worry. I'm handling it." The door shut. The lock clicked. I sat back on the mattress and checked the old flip phone I'd kept hidden. My smartphone had disappeared 10 days earlier, taken, Wesley claimed, to pay the bill. A text from the bank blinked on the screen. "Withdraw $7,000, new balance, $14,723. My entire pension, gone in one transfer." I stared at the number until it blurred. Above me, my old firefighter uniform hung on a nail. Dark blue fabric, badge from Station 19, 17 commendations, a mayor's handshake at retirement. It had survived smoke and flame. Now it just watched me sleep on a floor. I trusted Wesley. That was the mistake. 3 months earlier, he'd offered to help manage my finances. Bills, insurance, the pension, standard, he'd said, sliding papers across the table. Limited. Power of attorney, just for banking convenience. Gertrude kissed my cheek and called me a good dad. For saying yes. I signed 6 lines without reading the fine print. Why would I? He was family. For a few weeks, nothing seemed wrong. Then I opened a bank statement and found $347, where thousands should have been. The bank explained my pension was now auto-transferring into a joint account Wesley had opened without telling me. When I confronted him, he barely looked up from the television. "It's better this way, Ambrose. Trust me." After that, I started noticing everything. The new laptop, the steaks and wine. Gertrude's leather jacket with the tags still on. A credit card. Statements soaked in charges that weren't mine. A month ago, I finally confronted him directly. Statements in hand. He stood up fast, using his height the way some men use their fists. "You signed the papers. It's legal. And if you make trouble, I'll have you declared incompetent. Nursing home. Think about it." Then he shoved me into the wall. Gertrude came home minutes later, saw me holding my shoulder, saw Wesley calm with his beer, and said nothing. That was the moment I understood she wasn't tricked. She was complicit. 2 weeks ago, they stopped pretending altogether. "New arrangement," Wesley announced, like I was an employee being informed of a policy change. "The garage has everything you need. You stay out there, unless you have permission to come in." I moved my mattress that night while they watched television in the room that used to be mine. Now, sitting in the August heat with a dead phone. In my hand, the whole shape of the trap was finally visible, and something in my chest had started to shift. Victims don't survive burning buildings. Firefighters do. They retreat, regroup, and wait for the right moment to go back in. Wesley thought I was broken. He was wrong. I wasn't done fighting. I just needed to understand exactly how deep the hole was before I could climb out of it. And I had 2 weeks of watching them through that window to learn their patterns. Friday evening, I heard the specific rattle of my Son Daniel's Honda pull into the driveway. My heart seized. Not like this. He couldn't see me like this. The garage door swung open and light flooded in around his silhouette. His eyes dropped. From my face to the bruise to the mattress on bare concrete. Dad, what happened to your face? You have a pension, $7,000 a month. Where is it? Wesley appeared behind him. Chest out. Unbothered. Not complicated. That pension belongs to me now. Power of attorney. All legal. And this, he gestured at the mattress, is where he lives. House rules. Daniel didn't raise his voice. He reached to his wrist, unclasped his watch, an Omega, a company gift worth $8,000, and set it down on the dusty workbench between them. Take it, and walk out of this house right now. Wesley turned it over in his hands, then set it back down with a slow, satisfied smile. Nice watch, but why take $8,000 once when I've got $7,000 a month coming in? For free? Daniel's hand slid into his pocket. His thumb moved across his phone screen. Not to call anyone, but to record. He kept his voice level, almost gentle, pulling Wesley deeper into his own confession. You're forcing him to live out here. Forcing? He's free to leave. Nursing home's the other option. That pension's mine. Once I get him declared incompetent, this house is mine too. That was enough. Daniel put a hand on my shoulder. Dad, get up. We're leaving. Wesley started to block the door, hesitated at something cold in Daniel's eyes, and stepped aside. We drove to a Holiday Inn. Daniel ordered more food than two people could eat. Steak, potatoes, bread, soup, and watched. Quiet and pained as my hands shook, cutting the first piece. When did you last eat? Yesterday, 3 crackers. Then he pulled out a legal pad and started asking questions like a man solving a logistics problem. Dates, dollar amounts, exact wording. When I mentioned Wesley's threat about having me declared incompetent, his pen stopped moving. This is elder financial abuse. You own that house outright. Papers signed under duress aren't valid. Then he played me the recording from the garage. Wesley's own voice, confessing everything, clean and admissible. Pennsylvania is a one-party consent state. We built the plan. Until midnight, a lawyer, medical documentation, financial records, a revoked power of attorney. Charges. In the morning, he had to return to Boston for work, but he pressed a small burner phone into my hand. 1 week, Dad, I promise. I hid it in the torn lining of my firefighter jacket and walked back into the house. Through the window, I saw Wesley's satisfied smirk. He thought I'd tried to run and failed. That week, I turned the garage into a command post. I photographed everything. The mattress, the rust-stained sink, a 70-inch television delivered by 2 movers, a brand-new SUV rolling into the driveway on my stolen pension. I logged it all in an old contractor's notebook the way I used to log fire calls. Dates, amounts, incidents. Wesley searched the garage one afternoon looking for a phone and found nothing. 40 years of emergency training teaches you where nobody thinks to look. By Wednesday, I was sitting across from an elder law attorney named Sandra Mitchell in a coffee shop on Broad Street. She listened to my timeline, then played Wesley's recorded confession back to me on her tablet. Pennsylvania law is clear. Financial exploitation of a person over 60 is a felony. This document is voidable. What he's done is elder abuse and illegal eviction. We have a strong case, but we need medical documentation. The next day, Wesley found the burner phone and shattered it on the garage floor. Raging that I'd been talking to Daniel, that he controlled my medical decisions to under the same power of attorney, 1 phone call, and he could have me committed to a locked ward. I let my fears show, real and useful at once, and he cut my dinner as punishment. That night, I walked to my neighbors, Frank and Martha Johnson, who'd been quietly watching for months and finally said so. They gave me their phone, their back door, their kindness. Thursday, a doctor documented everything. Bruises in different stages of healing, 23 pounds lost in 3 months, signs of deliberate deprivation. I'm required to report this, she said. Good, I told her. A lawyer already is. Monday, Sandra filed. Wednesday, a process server found Wesley in the driveway. Through the window. I watched his face cycle from confusion to fury as he read the words criminal investigation. Thursday, emergency temporary orders came through. His access to every account frozen. My right to move back into my own house restored immediately. I carried my few belongings out of the garage for the last time and locked myself in the guest bedroom. The click of that lock was the best sound I'd heard in months. Adult Protective Services came the next morning. Wesley turned on the charm. The investigator, Teresa Williams, wasn't buying it. She photographed the garage, interviewed me alone, and left with her professional mask, cracking under barely controlled anger. Gertrude tried to apologize through my door that weekend. "We're your family," she said. "Family doesn't stand by while their father is starved," I told her, and closed the door. The final hearing came a week later. In courtroom 5, Sandra laid it all out. For Judge Patricia Hendricks, the medical photos, the bank records, the pictures of the new SUV and television bought with my stolen money, and finally the recording. Wesley's own voice filled the room. "That pension belongs to me now. I control everything." Under oath, his lawyer's defense collapsed sentence by sentence. The judge didn't take long. The power of attorney was coerced. Wesley was ordered to repay $28,000 within 90 days. He and Gertrude were given 48 hours to vacate my house. A protective order barred them from coming within 500 feet of me, and the case was referred to the district attorney for possible felony prosecution. Outside on the courthouse steps, Gertrude begged one more time. "We'll make this right." "You had months to make it right," I said. "You chose not to." Wednesday, I drove past the house and saw her crying through the window. She apologized again, said she'd been scared. "I was scared too," I told her. "I was 68 and starving. In a garage, and you're my daughter. You should have helped me." She sobbed. I drove away. Thursday at noon, a U-Haul pulled out of my driveway for the last time. Wesley drove. Neither of them looked back. I walked through my own front door with my own key for the first time. In 3 months, the house was empty of them, silent in a way that finally felt like peace instead of punishment. I changed every lock. I closed the old bank accounts and opened new ones with protections that would flag any attempt to use the old paperwork. I had security cameras installed on every door, piece by piece. I took back control of my money, my home, my life. The Johnsons brought over a warm apple pie that weekend. We sat in my living room, and talked about nothing important, which felt like everything. Later, Daniel and I sat together, with coffee in my own favorite mug, pulled out from the back of a cabinet where Gertrude had hidden it. "How are you feeling, Dad?" "Really?" "Tired, relieved, strange. Things that were normal 6 months ago feel like luxuries now." I looked at him. 40 years I ran into burning buildings to save people. I never thought I'd have to save myself. From my own family. "You did save yourself," he said. "I just helped." A month later, 2 letters arrived. The first noticed that Wesley Matthews had been formally charged with felony financial exploitation, facing 2 to 4 years. The second, in Gertrude's careful handwriting, admitted she'd cooperated with prosecutors in exchange for probation, said she was ashamed it took losing everything to see clearly, and asked, someday, if we might talk again. I read it twice, folded it, and set it in my desk drawer. Not thrown away, not answered yet, just saved. For whenever I decided. I was ready, on my own timeline, in my own house. That evening I sat in my living room and watched the sun go down over my own driveway, in my own chair, in my own life. 3 months in, that garage had tried to make me small. It hadn't worked. The pension was mine again, the house was mine. Again, and the dignity that had never really left. It had just been waiting for me to go back in and take it.